Welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing well. Well, you guys, it looks like the reality world is being shooketh in the arena of Married to Medicine. That's right. Bravo's Married to Medicine has provided a couple of announcements, and we're going to get into the first one that I came across, and then we'll talk about the other one later on. All right. So it appears that Sweet Tea, she says she's out. No mas, not coming back for season 3. And I'll be honest with you, this might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I'm glad to see that. I honestly felt that she should have actually walked after the first season. The reason being, for my take, is that I just didn't feel like this was a fit for her. Married to Medicine just simply was not a fit for her. Yes, on paper, it sounds great, you know, obviously Married to Medicine, and that's the name of the show. But let's face it, we've got Real Housewives who are not housewives running the show, right? For years and years and years. And we have taken a blind eye to that. So the concept of where some were kind of holding the standard a little bit different for Married to Medicine, I thought was a little bit, not going to happen. The bottom line is they do pretty good on record to have them, at least the majority of their cast, Married to Medicine. And I think that's what we should just be okay with at this point. But I am definitely a big fan of Married to Medicine. I've been watching it since the very first season, and I've fully enjoyed every bit of every season all the time. It's been great. It's been riveting. Content is always on par for me. Now, as far as Sweet Tea is concerned, at the end of the day, I think she's a lovely person. I think that deep down, this was a little bit more than she maybe bargained for. And I just don't really know what was the point in doing this. Was it supposed to be a storyline for Quad? Was it really truly an opportunity for her and Frank to get out here and do their thing and be the next, I don't know, couple? It seemed really interesting how, of course, now this is how things happen in normal life too. It just felt a lot of times, especially in the first season, that Sweet Tea was kind of almost a replacement for Quad, right? Even down to the fact that she moved right into the house, that looked the same. There didn't seem to be much changes there, at least that I can recall. And it was just a lot of unnecessary drama, and I wasn't quite sure where we were fitting with this. And then, of course, we got to see the concept of Quad being, basically unceremoniously removed from the show, at least for the rest of that season, because she wasn't getting along with the ladies very well at that point, and it had been going on for quite some time. And then she does kick back into gear with her new man for the new season, and then we saw how all of that, if you've been watching this past season, how all of that unfolded here in season 11 with her man King. And there's some things kind of a brewing about his situation as well on the professional side, so I don't know if we're going to see him for season. Well, we'll talk about that later. So, yeah, I personally think that, this should be a relief, very much so a, weight off of her shoulders, because things just got so, I don't know, like sad, really, honestly, and not a good way. I wasn't, fun, and it wasn't joyful fun. It wasn't even joyful shade. It just looked painful. And who is actually filming with an ex-husband and ex-wife and enjoying that? I mean, it just really made no sense to me. The amount of strength that I think all players involved were able to amount was pretty much astounding, because I don't ever see a situation in which, especially as contentious as Quad's divorce was with was it Gary, whatever his name is. We'll get to it. How that was, or is it, what did she call him, Dr. G? Yeah, she's called him Dr. G, right? So I think it's great. How that all, came to about. They really did not end on good terms whatsoever. The divorce was very acrimonious. And so to see that them coming back on screen together just was like, whoa, okay, what are we doing here? So I'm not surprised that, Sweet Tea had said, if Sweet Tea actually had a choice in the matter. But I do think it was the right choice to make, especially with the whole potential restraining order or case that was going on with King and stuff between Dr. Greg, and it just was ridiculous. So let's just go ahead and get into the sharing, get some more details in regards to the exit that is Sweet Tea. All right, so according to Deadline, it states that Letitia Sweet Tea Lunsford is leaving Bravo's Married to Medicine after 2 seasons. Now, Letitia Sweet Tea Lunsford is ending her time on Married to Medicine after 2 seasons. Deadline has learned that the Bravo star took to social media to share that she was not returning to the reality series, but the decision to leave was seemingly not hers. Hmm. It definitely was foul, she replied to a fan on Instagram who said they were glad they were not returning to MTM because it was foul for her. And I was just going to say, I really wanted to leave it to my fans to figure out what was going on because know that I'm not a quitter. Yeah, I would say so. She came back for season 2. Now, Letitia Sweet Tea Lunsford is ending her time on Married to Medicine after 2 seasons due to the fact that, hold on, let's see. Looks like it jumped on that and repeated itself, and we already know that she's leaving, right? So basically, she had continued to say that she had never ever been a quitter. She says, and I never ran away from anything or anybody at this junction. It just is what it is. There are better things in store for me. That platform was what it was at the moment, and I think thank God has something better, and I'm going down the right path. Now, Lunsford joined Married to Medicine in season 10 as Dr. Greg Lunsford's wife. Dr. Greg was formerly married to OG star Claude Webb, which created drama from the star as Lunsford clashed with Webb. Naturally, right? Lunsford got married to Dr. Greg during her first season, and during her second season continued to clash with Webb. Shocker. Now, in March of 2024, Dr. Heavenly Kimes suggested that Married to Medicine was to start filming the following month, but another MTM star had not returning for season 11 was Phaedra Parks, who had also moved back onto Real Housewives of Atlanta following Kenya Moore's exit. Now, that was a little bit of a side tap on that because that was also a bit of a shocking exit for some. I quite frankly felt that Phaedra really fits more on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, so I'm glad that she's actually coming back and resuming that role, if you will, or caricature in some cases on that show. I think that it's a better fit. It makes a lot more sense. It just didn't really ever feel like the ladies really meshed well. And I always felt like, in my opinion, and I think it was also shared that, Phaedra was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out the door type of thing. I think it felt like when she came back to Married to Medicine that it was literally just a pathway back to Real Housewives of Atlanta. And maybe they were just trying to see how things were going to work out and getting all the details behind the scenes together first before they move forward with it. I think that there was supposed to be a splash with, season 15 in regards to Portia coming back and Phaedra coming back, freaking frack. And, so how that's going to way out is yet to be seen because Phaedra has not hit the season yet, but is set to do so, I believe, this coming up Sunday. So, I'm actually filming and uploaded this on the 14th of May. So, yeah, whatever that date is. Oh, I think it's the 18th. Ooh, that was just actually a very important date for me. Anyways, but yes, I believe that is when it's supposed to be our first showing of Phaedra. So, but back to Sweet Tea. Again, my thoughts on this is I think this is a great move for her. I do believe that better things are in store for her. I would have really enjoyed if they had changed things for Sweet Tea mid-season 1 in regards to all of that backlash and stuff, that was going on that just wasn't enjoyable for the most part. She was not fighting with Quad. She was fighting with Heavenly. She wasn't fighting with Heavenly. She was fighting with somebody else, I think. And it just was all a mess. It was a lot of drama. It really didn't make sense in the first place for her and Dr. Gray to come back to the show or to be at the show anyways. And originally, I thought after the way things had ended with Quad and Greg, that was going to be it for Greg. We weren't going to see him anymore because things got really, really vile. I felt, towards the end of their marriage, there was, allegations there, or so much allegations they kind of admitted to it, right? On the reunions as they were ending their marriage in regards to some, physical altercations that took place, and just the nasty way that they talked to each other, the nasty way that they seemed to just really not like each other at a certain point in time. And I don't know if they really ever really liked each other anyways, but nevertheless, Quad does seem to be much happier with her new man, King, and whether or not that relationship is going to continue to move forward is going to be interesting to see in season 12, as I hear a little bit of, rumblings and whispering about certain things here and there. Maybe could be rumors, could be some truth to it. I don't know. I guess we'll maybe see more of that as the season unfolds or any new stories break on the outside, which I will be keeping my eye out on those. But yeah, for Sweet Tea, what I thought was nice, at least in season 2, is we got to see more of her entrepreneurial spirit kicking in, because at the first glance, all it really was about her being kind of like, maybe a kept woman who just kind of just slid right into someone else's space. And I don't know if that was a great look to begin with. To be honest with you, from my opinion, it wasn't. I prefer to see someone very independent and more in their own space. And I just felt like, even if you're going to move into the same house, which, maybe you don't want to get your own house together, fine. it is what it is. I would definitely be changing things up to where it didn't even look recognizable to whatever was there for the previous woman there. I did also feel that Dr. Craig probably had a little bit of a little bit hanging on with Quad there. It seemed like that may not have been the case, right? And there's a lot of emotions. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to have people together who are divorced and who really seem to be at the time really want to be divorced. Why are they now filming and hanging out? It was bound to, blow up in somebody's face. And I just didn't want it to see a situation in which Quad wasn't going to be on the show. Now, that may be another unpopular opinion, because I know that people are very split on Quad and their like of her, but I personally do like Quad. I think Quad is enjoyable. She makes me laugh. I don't really take too much of this seriously. So for that, I can look at it from that lens. But I do understand that, some people, she's just not their cup of tea, and, no pun intended. And, that makes sense too. And you got some who really just supported, Sweet Tea and her situation. I just don't know why Sweet Tea want to put herself in this situation. But hey, look, it was an opportunity. She fits the bill for the fact that she was, technically married to medicine. I would have loved to see more of the journey to parenthood for her. I would have loved to see more of her entrepreneurial elements, where she kind of took that concept of, hey, meeting Dr. Greg online and what are those love areas or whatever, and then creating her own type of dating, platform, and, doing that kind of thing with the mix and the mingles and stuff. I thought that was really good to see. I enjoyed that. And I wanted to see more of her journey into parenthood and how that was working. I had, just wanted to see more of her and how she was developing in her own life, and not so much how she was coming behind Quad, because that's exactly how it felt for me. Not everybody feels that way, and I definitely understand that. So, definitely feel free to respectfully throw your thoughts down below. How are you feeling about this? If you're a Married to Medicine watcher, do you think that, you're happy for the fact that Sweet Tea has been able to go on to bigger and greater and better things, and moving on from the show? Or are you going to miss her for next season? I do wonder about Contessa, because Contessa, is she not the one that was kind of brought back on? Although, Contessa, she's an alum, right? But it kind of made it like it was a little bit like, Sweet Tea giving her some more connection to other ladies on the show, that they had a relationship to at least some rapport anyways, and she was kind of bringing her back into the fold again. But her and Heavenly looked to be, kind of getting back to a more copacetic situation, and maybe rebuilding their friendship and getting past whatever issues they had before. We'll have to see how that is. But I do wonder where Contessa is going to fit on the show at this point, as far as her alliances are concerned. It kind of feels like with both Sweet Tea leaving and, Phaedra not coming back, maybe we'll start to see some back of the old alliances and how that kind of had laid out, before. I even had noticed, and if you had watched the reunion, let me know, for Married to Medicine that just aired, I don't know, a couple months ago or so, if you had watched it. And one person that seemed to really try to give Sweet Tea, that support throughout the show, I thought was, oh gosh, her name just that fast. Oh gosh, I cannot remember. It just left me that fast. Oh God, what is her name? She's the one married to the emergency doctor who's got his own practice now. Oh, she's from Detroit. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. Her name just slipped just like that. Okay, but maybe it'll come back to me here in a minute. But anyways, she had been such a support as a wife in the situation with Sweet Tea, really just kind of, standing up for her at different times. Well, I noticed that at the reunion, it seems to be quite a bit of tension between them two, and I was kind of wondering, where did that tension come from? Because I didn't see anything really fall out between them two on the show. So did something happen behind the scenes? If you're familiar and you know a little bit more about that, let me know down below. Spread the tea on that, because I definitely would love to know what happened in that situation, because she seemed quite annoyed with her and really didn't seem to be feeling her at all. And I was kind of shocked about that. And again, I still cannot get her name. And she's been there. She's an alum. She's been there from the beginning. I'm trying to hopefully it will pop up, but it's just not coming to me. When I do the other video, it will. Anyways, and I'll reference it there. But yeah, so it just seemed like, there's a little bit more odds going on at this point. But I am curious as to when she says it was not her choice to leave the show because she's not a quitter. Do you think it was Greg's choice? Do you think he decided, that's a wrap? I want to end this. Or do you think Bravo stepped in and said, this is no longer a fit, especially with the restraining order that I think was happening or about to happen? There was court proceedings that was starting with King and that whole altercation that happened, which was more verbal than physical. Now it could have gotten physical, but it didn't get physical, I don't believe. And it's just two, people, punching out their chest. At the end of the day, I understood King for stepping up for his wife and supporting his wife. At the end of the day, Dr. Greg is, still going to slip into those, past moments of thinking he can maybe talk to whoever he wants to any kind of way he wants. And he got pretty much told that that's not how it's going to go down. And that's just what it is. But, again, how you put two couples together and two of those were married at one point and they did not, end on good terms whatsoever, and then expect them to be happy and enjoying each other in this friendship group. I don't think so. So with that, I definitely would love to know your thoughts, and I think I'm going to wrap it up for this video. But what do you think of the big news for Married to Medicine that Sweet Tea has left the building? I haven't heard anything about any of the other ladies necessarily not coming back or coming back, but I am going to be doing another video in regards to Married to Medicine, so maybe we'll get some more details out of that. But if you are going to be sad to see Sweet Tea go, let me know down below. If you're happy to see her go, let me leave that down below as well. Of course, we're leaving it respectful, right? Because at the end of the day, we have love for everybody. And I wish her definitely the best. I think that things will probably work out much better for her now being off the show, and maybe even in her parenthood journey, maybe without the stress and stuff that was going on with the show, maybe something will come about. So I do wish them well on that journey. And hey, if they want to come back later on and do their own little, show, I'd check it out. It wouldn't be the first time that somebody broke out of a show like Real Housewives or something to that extent and did their own reality show. We watched it for a little bit for some of them, and so I would definitely give it a chance. But yeah, so I think this is a good thing for Sweet Tea, and I do wish her the best. And yeah, I guess we will see if there'll be a replacement for her, or if they're going to just kind of work on the core group of girls, which I think they have enough, or ladies rather. I think they have enough on there as it is. So yeah, with that, I think on a video do. I'm definitely going to be dropping down a couple more videos today, so make sure you have your all notification bells on. I definitely want to know your thoughts on those, and I don't want you to miss those. And of course, I want you to take care and be safe and come back. And if you are new here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and join the family. I would so love to have you. And for all of you that are already part of the family, you know what I feel about you. Thank you so much for your continuing viewing and listening support. And so with that, I will see you later. Bye.
Wanna